All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Teofimo Lopez says Vasyl Lomachenko has pulled out of their fight. Consequently, he is being ducked. And then Devin Haney adds a little bit of salt to it, and Teofimo responds to him. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, let's talk about the lightweight division, one of the better weight classes in boxing right now, where you have champion Vasyl Lomachenko, the champion at 100, the WBC champion. This is rude of me, but I neglected to turn my phone off before I started this. But we're back at it. Vasyl Lomachenko is the WBA and the WBA, the WBO champion, and you have Teofimo Lopez, who's the IBF champion, and Devin Haney, who's the WBC champion. And for those people that want to say, well, no, it's Vasyl Lomachenko is the champion of the WBC. I ain't buying that franchise champion stuff, man. Once you pop out of that and you take the franchise champion, in my book, you're no longer the WBC champion. You're up there with the WBC champion emeritus. You might as well be Vitaly Klitschko, because I need to know I need to go look to see if Vitaly Klitschko is still champion emeritus. Because, man, they put him as champion emeritus for years, hoping he was going to come back and fight. Like, man, keep this title, don't go away. Same thing with the franchise thing for Lomachenko. So I don't count that as his belt. Regardless, he is supposed to fight. Lomachenko's a great fighter, no doubt about it. Absolutely great fighter. Is supposed to be fighting Teofimo Lopez, an up and coming, could be great fighter, very, very good potential to be great fighter in Teofimo Lopez. But now Teofimo Lopez is saying that Vasyl has pulled out of the fight and gave a really whack excuse for why he pulled out of the fight. Now, I'm not saying that the excuse that that is being attributed to Vasyl Lomachenko, and I gotta say attributed to him by Teofimo Lopez, because there's been no independent verification of these facts. But Teofimo Lopez said that the reason Vasyl Lomachenko pulled out of the fight is because Vasyl is in the Ukraine and Teofimo Lopez is in the United States. And that's why he pulled out of the fight. Because the fight can't be made during this corona thing. Now, here's my deal. I think that is a little bit of horse manure, because why would you pull out of the fight? Why would you pull out of the fight when you don't know when boxing is coming back? Now, what I have heard is, and the reason I say why would you pull out of the fight when we don't know when the fight is going to happen is because that's the case with a lot of fights that are out there. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, neither one of those guys have pulled out of their fight, and they both have the same scenario. One guy is from the UK or Europe, and the other guy's in the United States. But neither one of those guys have come out and said, no, we're going to pull out of the fight because we can't make the fight right away because there's this immigration issue. Well, because there's this, basically immigration issue where one guy can't get into the other guy's country. I don't buy that, dude. Like, if that's the reason that is true, I don't buy that. The more likely reason for me, because I have said from the beginning that I didn't think that Vasyl Lomachenko really wanted this fight with Teofimo Lopez. He's not sounded like he has wanted this fight from the beginning of when they announced the fight. You could even see in the ring when Teofimo Lopez beat when he beat Richard Comey for the IBF 135-pound belt. Vasyl Lomachenko was in the ring, dude, and Vasyl Lomachenko's facial expression was like, yeah, whatever. He wasn't excited about getting in the fight. He wasn't excited about fighting Teofimo Lopez. Didn't want to fight Teofimo Lopez. Now, why could that be? Now, obviously, based on what Vasyl Lomachenko has said, a couple reasons out of that have come out of Vasyl Lomachenko's mouth. I think that there's other reasons that haven't come out of his mouth, but the reasons that came out of his mouth were that, one, he thought that he wasn't big enough for 135 pounds. He was considering moving down to 130. And the second thing is that he wants to fight with Gervonta Davis. He doesn't want to fight with Teofimo Lopez. Now, if you're looking at it from Vasyl Lomachenko's point of view, Vasyl Lomachenko is getting to be an older fighter. He's like 32, 33. He's right around the same age as Terrence Crawford. Because actually, I think Terrence Crawford won his championship the same year that Vasyl Lomachenko might have won his first Olympic gold medal. Was that right? Like 2000 and no. But it was somewhere maybe around the time they won his second gold medal. But regardless, these guys were both fighting around. These guys are both around the same age, about the same, stage of their career. Relative, as far as like how much time you have to box. So he's a little bit longer in his tooth, and he probably wants, some of the bigger money fights, a big exciting fight, because he hasn't had one of those since the Guillermo Rigondeaux size mismatch, right? Maybe, he is too big. He had one against Gary Russell Jr. I think was a big fight, and then he had another one against Guillermo Rigondeaux. And that's about it. He probably wants, I'm sure he wants to have another really big fight with Gervonta Davis that he can get excited about. There's a lot of smack talking between him and Mayweather and Gervonta, and everybody knows that really is the big money fight to boot, where Teofimo Lopez is an in-house fight against a very risky opponent. So, if you're looking at it from the Vasyl Lomachenko as I could see reasons other than him just, not being able to get over into the country, because who is he going to fight in the Ukraine? You know what I mean? Like he's going to have to fight somebody. Who's it going to be? If he's going to fight anybody at all, right? That anybody at all is either going to be in the UK or it's going to be in the United States. Because there's no other Ukrainian heavyweight. There's no other Ukrainian lightweight. Unless he expects maybe, I don't know what he expects, Gervonta Davis to go over there, right? Or Teofimo Lopez to go over there. But then you still have the same immigration issues that you have, with Vasyl Lomachenko coming over here, as far as the fight is concerned. So, I'm not buying any. I'm not buying any of that stuff, man. But here's the thing. The smart reason for Vasyl Lomachenko to pull out of the fight is because, more than, at least this is my observation, I think the boy's getting set up. That's me. I think he's getting set up. If it was me, I would be looking around every corner if I was Vasyl Lomachenko for this fight with Teofimo Lopez, because, and I know I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. It fits the scenario, the Bob Arum scenario, where you switch out fighters. It looks like the older fighter who has pretty much hit his media height. Because remember, the media hype for Vasyl Lomachenko was at 130 pounds with the No Moschenko. They did a great job of selling that stuff. But then when he got to 135, he's looking a little bit more vulnerable. He's looking like he doesn't look superhuman. He looks very, very good, but he doesn't look superhuman. And you very well might have somebody pop up and beat him. So he figures, hey, instead of it being Bob Arum, instead of it being, he just gets caught out there, fighting a Gervonta Davis or somebody like that, or even a Vasyl or a Devin Haney, right? Who was his WBC mandatory and was not a top-ranked fighter. And he figures, hey man, if it's going to happen, let it happen against somebody that's my guy. So I keep all of the cachet that I had and all of the reputation and all of my investment that I've made in Vasyl Lomachenko. I get to transfer a lot of that value from one of my guys, Vasyl Lomachenko, to another one of my guys, Teofimo Lopez. And now we got Teofimo Lopez, who's young, who's a knockout puncher, who could move up and win in multiple divisions, the same rigmarole. And, he can have people have announcers talk about how great, if Bob Arum misses Vasyl Lomachenko, like he probably misses Manny Pacquiao too, he can get the commentators to say the same thing. Oh, look at the angle. Look how he changes his angles. Look at that. Oh, he's incredible. I've never seen anything like this. This is the best fighter This is a young Roberto Duran. The top ranked spiel. They'll be out there. They'll be out there with that. So if I was Vasyl Lomachenko, I wouldn't pull out of that fight because of some garbage about it being in the Ukraine. That doesn't even make sense. I would be because you got to fight somebody. So you might as well. You don't know when the fight's going to pop off to begin with, and you don't know who else you could fight because ain't nobody else in the Ukraine. So why would you officially have Bob Arum and tell Teofimo Lopez that you don't want that fight? Now, most likely what is going to happen is the tune-ups, because that's what ESPN has already prepared us for. ESPN through Andre Ward started talking about, hey, I think these guys need to take tune-ups. I think Teofimo Lopez needs to take a tune-up. I think Vasyl Lomachenko needs to take a tune-up. So what they'll probably do is air a fight with Teofimo Lopez on the same day, have Teofimo Lopez fight somebody behind closed doors and in the United States, and then maybe set up some stage in the Ukraine to have Vasyl Lomachenko beat up on somebody out there. And then that's how they pop it up in a lead into whenever they actually fight. So, but we'll see. At the end of the day, man, it's all speculation over here, but we'll see what happens. Also, man, I gotta laugh about with Devin Haney, because Devin Haney just flat out said that Teofimo Lopez was a pathological liar, and he's starting to believe the lies. He's starting to believe the lies that he tells, and they had their own back and forth. But, for the sake of brevity in this video, I won't get too much into that, man. I'll talk about that in the live stream. But so anyway, much love to everybody in the chat, everybody in the super chat. Thank you to everybody for your support. And with that, I'm out. Peace.